Holidays, I think we've all gotten a little tired and a little COVID lagged. Want to see what we can do about starting off and refresh some enthusiasm for this stuff and do whatever we can to get some internet out. So I am Ruben Mahar. I'm currently the chair of the CTC. I think I've been on here in one form or another since 2017. I'll have to check that. Mr. Hofsis.
Yes.
Tell the internet about you. Anything you like.
Oh, okay. I had a great interest in getting internet into Waldoboro because of my own interest in high-speed internet projects. And it's been a struggle, but it has everywhere. But I'm encouraged by the great interest that we see now in with kids taking lessons from home and people working from home. And I have it on authority, my next door neighbor, for example, saying that he would not have purchased his home had he not had the ability to get internet there, and high-speed internet. Apparently his business is involved in that field. My family roots have been here for a long time, 200 years or so. And I'm not that old, but but I'm hoping we can bring some more interest to our town and more business by trying to get better service.
Well, thanks.
That's it.
Matt, you're here every meeting. I know you technically work for the town, but tell the internet about you too. You play a big part in success here.
Yeah, I work for the town of Waldoboro. I'm the town planner. I'm off camera at this point, but I'll fix that in just a moment. I am here to assist with economic development, and internet is becoming a big economic driver for some communities. I'm very focused on getting internet to those who currently have unserved areas. When I first moved to Lincoln County, I was on DSL. It was not fun. Fortunately, I made sure to upgrade my system well before COVID, which was a huge lifesaver. And yeah, that's the short of it, really.
All right. Well, thanks for the stuff you've gotten done for on so many things. Internet among them for sure. I was staring at the LED lights driving around the other day too. Now it's dark early and I'm mostly awake. It's pretty cool. So we've determined we don't have a quorum. Anything you want to add or remove from the agenda? Any adjustments for the agenda, Mr. Hoffman?
No.
No? Okay. We are going. We're going to skip the September minutes, where there's just two of us. Gosh, I would love a citizen's comment. I do want to call our former chair, John Lawrence, who I had. Gosh, we must have chatted for over an hour. All good things all over the place. And I should have brought some notes for that. I'll probably make a separate check out of the meeting for that. John is busy doing a lot of things, but holy cow, the guy still cares. And it was just a great sort of catch-up conversation. And John, I want to thank you for you're always willing to offer advice. Sometimes I don't even know I need it till you're done. And you are valuable, sir. The citizens here to make comments. I guess we'll watch will they show up in that chat window, or will they show up like in YouTube, or where would we see that?
I'll have a YouTube chat up.
Old business. Unserved pocket survey. You want to go over any of that, Max?
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. So for some, oh no, I think I accidentally closed it. I'll get it back open.
Sure.
Just as some background, we sent out the survey to everyone in town who was in a potentially unserved area. And this was an unserved area based on information that John Lawrence had, as well as basic feedback we were getting from some. It was a mixture of data we already had, as well as some anecdotes. So, you know, if there was an unserved spot in town, and it was maybe a private road that was so far away. We sent out a survey. I think there was about 160 that in total went out. And I compared it to the broadband map that we currently have. I'm still just trying to get the map ready. I compared it to the map we currently had. I think we had 40. That's about a quarter of all the responses we could have received. And add. I know this is fun for everyone watching.
Well, that shows everyone that even someone that uses this every day can fight with the applications a little bit. Makes me feel better. I don't know about you.
There we go. I'm sharing the screen now so people can see it. Broadband, here we go. So should be on there now. So I'm going to close this out so we can get a full map. So the map you're seeing right now is just an idea. The red lines shows that we know that Charter/Spectrum serves that area. Yellow shows that LCI Fiber serves that spot. And the blue lines either indicate First Light if it's along Route 1 or areas that we were going for grant funding in a previous round, Fentown Road, Store Mountain, and the southern end of Flanders Corner, which are still unserved. So as for what the dots mean, I followed the federal standard, which is 25 down, 3 up. I know that the state now has it defined as 100 symmetrical. However, if that was the case, our entire town, I do not believe would be considered served. So I'm just following this federal standard because that's where we're seeing all the infrastructure money coming from. So I'm just leaving it at that for this time being. And also because they're unserved pockets. So to me, they get a little more of a higher priority since that was the focus. So as just a general view from what I got, there are certainly unserved spots. That was going to be expected. It's hard to pinpoint what truly is served, what's not, and just how far the lines are in this town. Like, for example, with Fintown, I did receive responses from this nice little northern chunk that's closer to Warren. I didn't really receive too much down here closer to Friendship, so I'm not sure where Charter's cable actually does end. I've driven through Fintown once, and I suspect it's here where this black dot is, that's where the cable officially ends. So it might be more feasible to see if the line could come through Warren to serve these individuals, but that's something that requires further research. There was also one response over here in the Goshen Road area that there's actually quite a few homes in this area. But again, I only had one response, and the Charter line ends right here at the railroad station, or not station, but the railroad lines.
Right.
So it could be possible to get an extension here. I don't know how much it would be, and I don't know if there's interest in that area because I only had one response. And then, there's some usual suspects, like Deaver Road did express interest a while ago, and I had 3 responses. I think I even had, and I should mention, purple dots mean that someone filled out the survey and they did not provide any data on a speed test, which they were asked to do. Go to mainbroadbandcoalition.org, do a speed test, and tell us the results. Red means that it's under 25.3. Yellow means they have one or the other. Green means 25.3 or higher. So Deaver Road, I had 3 say no data, even though I think some people, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's not served. Some people have put in purple dots and said, oh yeah, I have Spectrum, or I have this service provider. I just didn't do the data, or I just didn't do the test. And it's actually going to be hard for us to do the research on that because it means we would have to go out there and use like cell data to see what the speed test would be. So kind of hard. And some people say they had Starlink, but they didn't put any data down. So we don't know what they have.
So Starlink is, I don't think they've exited beta yet, so the speeds will be all over the place, but they'll
Right.
exceed 25.3.
Yeah.
And Spectrum's official plans, while it's possible to be on a plan that won't do 25.3, that's not on Spectrum's end. That is either poor equipment or the customer needed to call Spectrum and get on a modern plan.
Right.
The lowest you can buy from Spectrum right now is 30x4, but that is that's that for low income and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Their baseline tech, 100x10.
So, and I'll get to that whole idea in a minute. In general, there's certainly empty pockets.
Yep.
We just didn't get a lot of, I'd say, good responses
Uh-huh.
because, like, if we take over here, for example, on, I think this is Gebner, there's supposedly this blank area between where LCI has a line versus where Charter Spectrum has a line. And there's few people, less than a dozen, who are maybe half dozen, who live in this area. I don't necessarily know where the lines do truly end and where the extension could be made for each one.
Okay.
And then, as I say, there are the usual suspects. We go over to Store, Flanders. There's obviously responses from them. They've been very vocal and they do want it. They do want internet. What I was more interested in were the outliers that we actually got. For example, on Old Augusta Road, I was surprised to find this individual who's like at the corner on the border with Jefferson. They don't have internet. Supposedly LCI's line ends around here where there's this huge wetland area and then nothing any further. So I was rather surprised with that. As well as over here on Winston Road, these two people are on via satellite
Okay.
and don't have LCI fiber. So I was just very interested in that. There are going to be some very different and unique cases, like here on Simon Drive. This person said, "Oh, we don't have internet," but this person says we have Charter. I would do some phone calls with these people to follow up and say, you know, this is what you said, but this is what your neighbor said. So what's going on? And sometimes there's an easy resolve of, oh, I didn't even realize that. I'm going to call them up now. Or in this case, it was this person saying, my driveway was considered too long, so they'd have to extend a cable all the way from Filer's Corner, which seemed interesting. But overall, it's mostly some very minor outliers and people on private roads that are not really well served. I think the biggest change I saw was over here on noise. The noise has always been a very quiet one for me. I didn't even know there was that many people up there, but there was 1, 2, 3, 4 people who responded. And apparently it was a dire need up in that area. And it ends about here. Now, again, I don't know how often people do live up in the area year round, but it's certainly a scattered plan. In terms of moving forward, I think part of it might be a marketing item. I can close this out now, I suppose, unless you two want to see the map any further.
No, that's good.
I think part of it is going to be a bit of marketing of saying to either Charter or LCI, hey, here are these people who have expressed interest in getting some service. And then it's up to then Charter and LCI to reach out to these people, or us telling the people who responded to the survey saying, we understand you said you would like some broadband, some internet, this is your closest service provider. It's possibly best to speak with them on the matter. Or if they, as Ruben pointed out, they may already have it and it's just never been upgraded to address that standard. And if that's the case, that just might be what we have to tell them, that hey, you just need to do a basic equipment upgrade or something. I think there's some cases where we could clump the roads together and get the residents together and say, if you really are interested, we can get your closest provider here and they can give us a price, and then you can discuss what you want to do from that point. And there are some cases where we can check to see if there's enough interest that we might be able to utilize the franchise agreement with Charter. There were maybe 2 roads that I think has that possibility. But again, I didn't have enough data to justify saying, let's do this.
Right.
It's something where I think someone has to drive down and see it. And I think it's only the 2 roads, so it doesn't really have to happen that often. I think it's going to be more of just reaching out to individual cases and saying, we got your response. This is what we think. And we spoke with either Charter or LCI, and they're aware of the interest. And if you want to pursue it, you can certainly do it.
So, I mean, I think that's great. I think that the 2 biggest points that I think are the most interesting in all of that is one, that the roads we're not sure on should be driven. And if you want to make that some kind of shareable document, I'll at least volunteer my time to help you get some of that done, and I'm sure others would as well. And then once that's done, if you could have 2 complete lists to ask, it's really just the 2 wired vendors in the area. We could say, hey, Charter, here's a list of people that you're closest to that are looking for service, and we could ask LCI the same question.
Okay.
That seems pretty clean. And with an address like that, we're not giving, names or telephone numbers or anything. That's where I would stop short. I would either be calling these people and asking, hey, can I share your name specifically? Although if I'm doing that, would it make more sense to have them call themselves? I could see us calling for them if they're okay with it, because I think a question for you is going to be formed a lot more clearly. But if we do any contacts that come down to an individual person tied to an address, I think we should at least get their permission.
Yeah. That's very reasonable. And for most of these surveys, people did provide a phone number or a method of contact. So I can easily reach out to them and say, hey, we did get your survey. We're going to be reaching out to some ISPs. Is it fine if we share some information with them about this? And it might just be something about the road, saying, this is the furthest address.
Yep.
And then give an idea of how many people are on that road.
Right.
Are you happy with the response that you got from the survey?
25% response rate's always a good one. If you go above 20%, that's a good turnout.
When I think about the amount of mail I throw away, and if it's town stuff, I try to remember to read it. But a lot of people aren't processing it that way. So I feel like that's a good number.
Yeah, and some of these surveys went to people who don't live in Maine year round.
Yep.
For some, this was their second home. This was their cottage in the woods, so they weren't going to respond, and that's fine.
Yep.
There's really no issue. Some people, this was their second homes and they still responded, and that's fine. I think, as I said, I like the response rate. I wish there was more of a sample size in certain roads, just so we could have some better data. The 2 roads I'm mentioning that might have a franchise expansion, if there were more people who showed interest in those roads, that might have made it a lot easier, but it's probably going to result in us having to drive down, see it, and really start asking a lot of people in that area for their interest. And there might not be. Who knows?
Right. Well, that's a lot of great work, and thank you for doing it. Those are the pieces that end up with people getting more internet. As much as we all talk at this table, you're doing some meaningful work. That can't be overstated, I don't think. Any other old business anyone wants to review?
I know there was other old business.
Oh, this is the only thing on the agenda, but it seems like a good place to chat in case I forgot something. I don't have anything in my head.
No, I mean, in terms of grant funding, Connect Maine is getting their authority together to outline how they're going to work, and the infrastructure bill passed, which does include billions that'll go for broadband as well. So we'll keep an eye out for that. In terms of what we saw on that survey map, not going to be that many areas. I think that infrastructure money is going to go more towards towns like Washington or Somerville, ones that really don't have that much.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
you've made a good point. That's easy to set up. We are the places where we do have broadband in Waldeboro. There's a lot of it, but we don't want to ignore the people that are left, and that's the other side of that challenge. Along with that, I've been attending the online conference calls for the Maine Broadband Authority, which is they're still setting up shop.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some real smart people on there. There was another meeting where they had Susan Crawford there. She wrote that book Fiber that I think everyone should read all the time. And they're still setting up shop, but I'm encouraged with what they're doing. This is going from an all volunteer sort of setup to people being paid to do a job, and by golly, they're making a solid effort at it. It's nice to see. Under new business, I have a line here that says new technology for broadband improvements.
Yeah, there was a lot of things you seem
There
to
were.
want to talk on the email, so I just put it into that
Yep.
one thing. And
No, that's fine, and I'll resend that. So I'll start with fiber. There has been no change. Fiber is the golden standard. Once you're there, you're fine. But there's a lot of cable in the town. There's a lot of cable in every town. So if it didn't work, we wouldn't use it. So first off, this is not. I'm excited about this tech that I read about. This is not an endorsement for saying it's better than anything. And this is also bleeding edge in the test phases. Charter is talking about, and in some cases, rolling out a piece of technology called high split. Cable broadband works by using a set amount of frequency for download and upload. It's also how they deliver cable TV channels. Right now, there's a very small amount of bandwidth allowed for upload, which is why your best cable connection can do 40, 50 megs. They advertise 35. High split evens it out and gives a lot more radio spectrum, a lot more bandwidth to upload. And there are connections now where if you're paying for their premier service, their gigabit down, you can go from 40 megs up to about 500 megs up. I emailed Charter and asked if there was any plans or any opportunities to test something like that in our area, because we have a lot of businesses on cable internet. I don't know what the cost is. I don't know how involved it is to do the work. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on their cable plants, but it seemed like asking was worth it, because anytime I can get anyone more upload, especially that much more, that's a huge tool. So I was excited about that, and that was the big piece I want to talk about. I sent out a number of articles that describe it. To Charter's credit, Shelley, our government contact, is very busy, and she not only answered me, but she forwarded that along to the right people. It was a short question that would require a lot of eyeballs, but for whatever, everyone's had a bad experience with their local utility, their cable company, and whatever. Shelley gave me a complete answer, and that's so thank you, Shelley, if you happen to see this. That's really the long and short of the internet tech changes.
In your opinion, do you feel that that this is profitable for the providers to have this advanced service for those who need it? Or
So I've never run an ISP, and that is right now at the end of the day in America, these are all for-profit companies, and they need to run that way to continue to exist.
Exactly.
I'm sure once you're up and running and don't have to upgrade stuff, on paper when nothing moves, I'm sure there's a healthy sort of profit margin in there. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're in the middle of a challenge where they need to dump funds into expanding whatever their network is. Even cable internet, the backbones are fiber. Everyone's got the cost of fiber, and even if they have all the money and the resources in the world, they have to get the stuff and compete with everybody else. they wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't demand there and if someone wouldn't pay for it. You know, so I'm sure there is. Charter is, they've got stockholders. They're not going to build something that will take them out of business. So I'm sure it is. I couldn't give you a dollar amount, and I hope I never find out because, gosh, that job seems stressful. I just want to get the bits to people's houses so they can download photos of their grandkids, or go to the doctor. I guess that's probably a better, more important sounding thing.
Whatever sounds better.
Right? So yeah, that was the long and short of that. I want to congratulate the town of Bremen. They got their grant, and if I understood the Bangor Daily News, they've got most of their fiber rollout complete. That town was more or less completely unserved. Tidewater worked with those folks. They put a lot of their own resources in to get it done as well. I've got a few professional and a few personal friends out in that town, and I am thrilled to see our neighbors get connected. That also, for anyone that doesn't want to, I guess, play as nice, they're done. That also means they're not competing with other towns. Every time someone gets done, there's more kids getting educated, more people with broadband, but also fewer people competing. So for all those reasons and more, really pleased to see Bremen get online. I think that's all the hot air I got tonight. I could make something else up. Any comments?
I don't really.
Okay.
Do you think that we're still dealing with people not thinking they need high-speed internet? I know there was a real push at the very beginning to give good reason why one should have this service, and it should be available to everybody.
I
Do you have any
think,
sense of that?
there's always going to be someone. COVID hasn't done a lot of good things. Making the benefits of good connectivity clear is one of the things it has done. There's still challenges. There's not just getting broadband, but getting affordable broadband out there. The cheapest internet most people can buy is $60 or $70. I've got clear memories of it being half that. Of course, I'm not going to call myself old yet, but I'm on the way. I'm on the list to get there. So if I've heard anything lately when I talk to people, other than the folks that want broadband and can't get it, there's a lot of people that are near broadband, but they're spending an awful lot on it or are going to something inferior because of the price tag there. And that's something else that needs to be looked at. That's also why I have the rule where I don't like to ever list promotional rates for any given service because they sound better than they really are a year later. And that's not, if I were running the company and I had the pocketbook to do that, that's no negative comment on the practice, but if I'm giving the masses flat data on what their expenditure is going to be, I prefer to do it that way. But yeah, as far as people saying they don't need internet, there always been someone, I don't think that's the big challenge. The biggest concern I see, and it's a valid concern, especially, with everyone's paying taxes on something, is how do we pay for this? And now we've got some programs that are going to take a shot at that, just like rural electrification. This pandemic needs to end, but if it's highlighted anything, it's, hey, we need this piece. The other thing we need, speaking of Bremen, you should read the article on the Bangor Daily News, and I'm going to go read it again. They've got some great expertise in that panel, and we've got some wonderful people here, but we could use some help on this group. I don't know who we have that works in town that has been a lineman or worked for a telecom or has been in construction running conduit and all these other things. I use the internet a lot. I spent my fair share of time playing video games, and I use Excel. And I think that's true for really everyone on the group. We get Thomas, who does some super fancy, neat things. And I still think Bob Butler's in the future. That guy's pretty good.
Yep.
Help wanted, though. I think I need to put that in every meeting. I would like to see some more people join that have expertise in those other areas. Part of Bremen's success was having that available to push that along. And the fact is, we're volunteers, and we've got Max doing a lot of great work for us, but his time is finite too. We could use some different viewpoints and sort of dynamic experience. So if anyone wants to come talk about the internet, please go to the town website and apply. With that, it's everything I have. You guys?
I'm good.
I'd normally call for a vote, but there's no quorum, so we'll just call it.